Have you ever felt like you've been stuck in two places at once, overwhelmed with conversations from family, friends, or even threads or posts on social media that try to tell you exactly who you are? Well, here's a little honesty for you.
We've all gone through the same thing. As first generation Asian Canadians, we struggle with our ethnic heritage and being Canadian. How do you find the balance between the two? Where do you belong? That's where we come in. This is a little honesty, where we'll discuss everything from identity and mental health to pop culture and food, and be completely honest with you.
Netflix has recently released a show that I'm sure will sound familiar to many people. Never Have I Ever is a new series which follows the story of Devi, an Indian American sophomore who struggles with handling the grief of losing her father. And instead of facing that grief, she chooses to redirect her energy and time in chasing the most popular boy in school with the goal of having sex with him. I'm Louise with Nida and Jessica, and we're your hosts for A Little Honesty. Just wanted to give a big shout out to one of our co-hosts, Trisha, who couldn't make it today. No worries though, she'll be joining us next time.
Okay, guys, let's get into first impressions.
Oh my
What did you
god!
guys think?
Well, from the trailer, I mean, if you first watch the trailer, I think it was like a the focus was more. Seemed like a sort of a typical high school concept kind of thing that they put for any TV show. They didn't really talk much about like what actually like sort of happened. So it was like a little sort of like misleading a little bit. But then once you actually watch the show, I feel like it really like opened up like a lot of like other heavy topics that like made it really great. But that was like the first impression I got from the trailer.
Actually, I didn't watch the trailer. I just went straight into watching the show just because it was like everybody was telling me to watch it. Like everybody, like my sister and my cousin was like, "Oh, it's a good show. You should watch it." And like I heard so much, there's already so much on social media about it. So it was like maybe I was skewed a little bit negatively, actually, to be honest with you, just because like the memes that were going around. But when I did watched it, it was hilarious. I thought it was so funny, and I like the how she just went for the American culture. Like the Indian culture was part of her, but I guess it wasn't as strong as what people would think it would be. But I really enjoyed it. It was a funny show, and it was really got the emotions going.
Yeah, definitely.
Guys, I honestly didn't think that I would like it because
Yeah.
because of the trailer. I was like, she's totally obsessed with sex. That's
Yeah.
weird, girl.
Yeah.
I
I have
was
to say,
like,
I thought it
what
was
are
really
you doing?
misleading, the trailer.
Yeah, no, totally. But I think for people who haven't watched it, in the first few episodes, I think the trailer kind of um, encompasses what's going to happen in the first few episodes really well because she is kind of obsessed with getting
Yeah.
Paxton. Honestly, kudos to her though, because she really went for it. I was
Yeah, she did.
not like that in high
I was like,
school.
oh my
I
god.
was like, oh my god, sex, absolutely not. 15 years old, no. Um, but yeah, no, I loved it. I really didn't think that I would enjoy it as much, and
Hmm.
hmm
I thought it was
Yeah.
really like it portrayed, like you said, it's like that weird in between as like an American and like an Asian. So I really appreciated it. I really
Hmm.
enjoyed it. There was a lot of cringy moments. Don't get me wrong. Like I was
Oh
like,
my
"Oh,
God.
Davy, please
Definitely.
stop!
I was
Don't
like,
do that,
oh my
girl."
You have
god.
to like double tap and go 10 seconds ahead, but you have to go back and be like, okay, no, I have to watch this.
Oh my god, yes. Or I would pause and then I'd be like, okay, I need to take a break, Davy. I don't know what you're gonna do, but it's not gonna be good. I need to take a break from you. You're freaking me out.
Literally, I had to like
Um,
skip ahead, but then just go back. I was like, okay, I have to watch this. It might not be the same, but
Exactly.
I was like, oh my god.
Oh my
Yeah.
god. No, but I really enjoyed it. I mean, like you guys, totally, I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So one of those shows like I just kept watching it one episode after another. Like you can just binge the entire thing because it was yeah, it was really good.
It was good. And I feel like the reactions that we're kind of bringing towards this, it's shocking to us. I could be wrong, but between the three of us, I like her the way she was acting was a little shocking just because she was so out there.
Oh
It
my
was so
god, yes,
refreshing to see, right?
yes,
Like I
Mhm.
loved watching that. So
yes.
I
Yeah.
liked it.
Yeah,
Really
definitely.
enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I feel like there was like, sorry, I feel like there was like a little mini rebel in me that was like, oh, I wish I was like Davy too.
Oh my
Like,
God, yeah. Yeah.
So
Do you remember when
true.
we were talking about it before? We're like, oh yeah, because we were so boring. We never did any of that. Like, and not even
yes,
like that stuff, but like anything remotely that was like rebellious.
I
Even
know.
Yeah.
Mo,
Like, I
right?
wish I wish I like went for the
Exactly.
cutest guy in my high school like that and stuff and just said screw it all and like,
Screw it.
Yeah, when
yeah,
she
but there
like,
wasn't
after
really.
when she asked him like, "Oh, like would you consider having sex with me?" I was like, "Oh my god." I
Oh
was
my
like, "Can we like I was like, is this a
god!
I thought it was gonna be like a daydream, like something that she just thought of, but actually ended up happening. Like it was a thing that she actually ended up doing. So I was like, oh wow, like yeah, that's like very bold. That's like wow,
Yeah.
have to have a lot of confidence. Yeah, but I guess like when in the beginning when they're like everything that she went through, like and she wanted something to change, and so like I guess it's like it's quite like nice to see that like she actually tried to really change things for herself. I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there were definitely like a lot of overall themes going on there. So I guess one of the biggest ones was mental health. She did have a therapist in the show, which I thought was interesting. And if the last episode you watch, by the way, this is like if you haven't watched the show, don't listen to this podcast because it's like full of spoilers. But
Yeah. So many spoilers.
the last episode where her mom goes in and talks to her therapist and like, oh, therapists are for white people.
Oh my god, I love that. I
Yeah, I
love
actually
that
like
so
that her
much.
mom. Yeah, I like that her mom didn't completely agree, like with the fact that she had a
Exactly.
therapist. Because when she had it, I was like, oh wow, like that's great. So
Yes,
I
it
think
was
Yeah.
that
surprising. It was
yeah,
surprising
portrayed
that she
pretty.
even had
Yeah.
one.
Exactly. That was
Yeah.
the thing, right? Because it's such like a balance between, I guess, like what people believe in one culture and what people believe in one culture and like what's thought of as right and wrong, I guess. But that was
Mhm.
like sometimes like again, I guess she was playing that 16-year-old really good, but like when you were like when I was listening to some of those like her grief sessions, I guess they were like frustrating to me.
Oh
Like
really?
that's not what
Why?
she's trying to say. It's just because like well like I understand because she lost her like a lot happened to her in like the span of like 8 months I think, right? So
Mhm.
and I understand how she was not like dealing with it, but like as a viewer you're kind of like, well, just deal with it. Don't like deflect and try to say like, oh, I'm gonna go after this guy or I'm gonna do this with my friends and you're not actually dealing with it. But then
Oh
that's how
yeah.
grief works, I guess, right? So I mean when
Yeah.
you're watching it from the outside it's like it's annoying, but like if you've never been through any sort of grief you would know that
You
dealing
never
with
know
it
what's
head
gonna
on
happen.
is just,
Yeah.
exactly. And just like
Exactly.
watching her grief and like when she was like crying for her dad, I was like kind of crying
Oh
too.
my
Like
god.
Oh my
Yeah, it
god,
was
I
like
yeah.
wasn't
oh
like, you know what I
wow.
mean?
I did not expect
Mhm.
to be so like affected by like because you could tell that she was kind of like with all her therapy sessions that she was kind of bottling everything up, and then every time it started to
Yeah.
get like more, so she would like try to deflect and like wouldn't actually like say like you said like what was really bothering her, and so like she kind of like was in
Hmm.
denial I think, and then in the end it was like oh wow, like it just you could like feel it like how like everything actually affected her.
Yeah, it was insane. I
Exactly.
felt like there were so many moments where I wish I could just give her a hug because I
Yeah.
was like, I
Yeah.
don't think she feels like there's anyone who's like truly supporting her because no one has ever felt like they could really talk to her about it or
Yeah.
approach her about it, especially after her grief hit her so hard to the point where she like lost movement of her legs.
Hmm.
Yeah, so
Exactly.
I was so shocked. But yeah, no, her therapist, that was insane. I really
Yeah.
enjoyed
Yeah.
that though.
I really liked your
Hmm.
I
therapist as
really
well.
love I loved her therapist, guys.
Amazing.
Her
Like what?
therapist was a freaking mood. She was over
Yeah,
it.
actually,
She
it
was.
was great.
But
She
like,
just cut the chase and
yeah,
everything.
it was really interesting to see the contrast again between Davy and her mom,
Mm.
who did not believe in it at all, and then Davy did. And it was just like the therapist told her, if you open up and maybe, grieve yourself, that could be healing for Davy, which was an
Yeah,
interesting contrast, definitely, right? Because she was
yeah,
like, it seemed like the mom was not for it, but the daughter, I guess, was for it because she was consistently going whenever she needed help. So it was interesting to see those two, which is like, I guess, what you would see in like maybe a lot of Asian households as well.
Yeah,
yeah,
I
yeah.
think therapy is still like sort of a stigma like across all
Hmm.
cultures,
Hmm.
but I think this show did a really good job of like emphasizing how it looks like for Asian households
Yeah,
at least. Like I feel like my parents are like that too sometimes, or at least previously they'd be very like disregarding of any type of therapy because they'd be like, "Oh, that's for the white people." So I really liked how like they just nailed that line and just said it as it is because
Yeah,
I'm like, "Oh my
yeah,
god, that's
yeah. This is accurate.
totally."
Like I'm so glad people are like
Mhm,
actually seeing how it's sort of like in these families as well.
yeah.
mhm.
Yeah, and I
Um,
actually yeah. Oh, sorry.
no, sorry, I was just saying, but like I actually like how like they kind of pivoted to the point where it's not only for one specific group of people; it could benefit a lot of people. Does not
Mhm.
matter your background or your race or
Oh
whatever.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. I remember
yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah. I liked
Mhm.
that
Yeah,
like
where
it ended up helping her
it
mom.
did, right? It
Yeah.
really did. Where she was
Mhm,
like hugging the ceramics and it's like, oh, like I see the point like that you're making. So that was
mhm.
a good ending.
But I think
Yeah.
that's the thing too with like Asian households and Asian cultures. Like we feel the need to hold everything together and be
Hmm.
strong all the time and never really let anyone know how we feel or expose our emotions and to the point where we become vulnerable. That I feel like Davy was actually open to the one person she felt like she wouldn't be judged by, which was her therapist. So it was like interesting to see that dynamic.
It was so good. But I also like how like when she, I think it really like, well, it hit me like how much everything was affecting her. Like when I think she, I think her therapist wasn't like she had decided that she didn't want like, oh, then maybe you don't have to be my therapist or something like that. And then it was like it was
Yeah.
like she was like, I think you can see like, oh wow, she's like feeling she's being abandoned again or something.
Yeah, like
And
the
that's how you can
realization.
see the realization. And that's how you can see that like, wow, how everything's like hitting her. And then she like rebelled, but she didn't actually talk about it or break down. She just like decided to go and like deflect it again, kind of thing. Which yeah, I found like wow. I was like, oh wow, everything is actually bottling up inside her, and it's gonna come out somehow. So
Yeah, I think Maitreyi, is that the actress's name? Maitreyi? I don't know
yeah.
how. Yeah, I kind of like don't know how to pronounce it. Hopefully it's right. But I think she did a really good job at acting those moments out where there's like an instant where Davy like almost opens up, but then she like just deflects again because she's concerned about being judged or being completely vulnerable again, even to her therapist.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
kudos to her because that's her first role, like big
Yeah,
role.
what?
So kudos to her.
That was
Yay.
amazing. Yeah, I thought all those moments where like Davey had to like just like be like so vulnerable and everything. I think she did such a good job in those moments, like where yeah, it was like you really feel
Hmm.
for her and she was crying and yeah.
Yeah, I was like, Davey, I'm rooting for you, but sometimes I want to give you like a little slap, you're being dumb.
That's it. I was like, what are you doing?
Kind of like plays the role.
Yeah, she played the role really well.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it is very realistic how like, you know, like she kept like deflecting everything, was in denial and like everything that she was doing, like, all the cringy stuff as well, and then it ended up leading to like, oh, at the very end, like how this all led to like how she's really feeling about everything that happened to her.
It was a
So
journey for her for sure.
yeah,
And I
that's
think
right.
if we think back to when we were 16 ourselves, guys, I don't think our behavior would have
Oh
been
God.
different, to be very honest with you.
Oh
Like,
God.
and now we're like in our 20s, so like we can like talk about it like adults-ish. But like when we were 16, like we were the same probably, like similar.
Oh,
like
yeah.
our temper,
Definitely.
our attitudes, our understanding of things,
Yeah.
just wanting answers, I guess, and not wanting to face emotions. That's
Yeah,
I'm
not
sure it
wanting
was
to
all of
face
us.
reality or what's truly
Exactly.
going on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just finding
exactly.
another outlet as much as possible.
Yeah, exactly. That's great.
But kudos on her because, guys, she kept up her grades and she was like amazing in school
She did.
otherwise.
Yeah.
So A+.
You know, the one thing I really like that she was not annoyed that she had to keep up her grades. Like she enjoyed it, like
Yeah.
school and stuff, right?
Yeah.
Yes, that's a good point. That's a really good point. Mm-hmm.
She was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna get into Princeton."
Yeah, she
Right?
has
Princeton.
she
Yeah.
had aspirations regardless.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if she will get in. See.
Yes. I guess we'll have to see. But I think like one of the funniest things and the cringiest moments was like her interactions with Paxton.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
No, but you gotta give her credit where credit is due. Like,
Yes,
yeah,
we give
cringy
her
as
credit.
hell.
Like,
We give her credit.
Yeah. I mean, like when she kept wanting to like approach like the circle, like him and his friends kind of thing, I was like, he clearly doesn't want to see you right now. But it was,
Cover
like,
your
just
eyes,
went
like
for it. I
you
was
can
like, oh my god. But yeah, it was like wow. I admire her like confidence, I guess, and like how bold she was instead of just doing it. But, yeah.
She went for it, and she was like committed on
Yeah.
every aspect. It's like if it's in person, if it's in social media, texting, she was for it. But I don't know. Like again, I think she showed a lot of that, or her character showed a lot of that 16-year-old mentality where you just want something, so you're gonna go for it.
Yeah. Guys, I loved her mom's interactions with Paxton because I thought that was super accurate as well. Where her
That was
mom was
great.
like literally screaming at him, and I'm like, "Oh my god, mom! He just brought her to the hospital. Like, why are you yelling at him?"
But I'm like, you can't be butthurt. Like, you can't be.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I did feel really bad for him though when she was like, "He's an idiot. He's literally stupid." I was like, "Oh no, don't do that."
Oh.
Damn.
Yeah. But I was like,
it's like a mom thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a mom thing. And she didn't really allow dating and stuff. Although there was that double standard. There was that double standard between her and Kamala.
Yeah.
Which
I think there was like a big age difference too, though, between the two characters.
That's true too. Oh, but it goes back to like what you said, right? You're 16 and you think that you deserve everything. And things are just happening to you, especially when you want to have a relationship with this person and you see your cousin just getting everything. So it it was kind of nice to see Kamala and Davy's relationship grow too.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really like that part. I like they're bonding over what Riverdale.
Oh
Yeah.
my
Um,
god,
Yeah.
and
so
they're like
cute.
helping each
Riverdale.
other, and I was like, that was cute. I like
Yeah,
that.
I
Yeah.
really like that as well.
Yeah, I know for sure that if I ever brought a boy home, if I was 15, I would probably get disowned.
I would
So,
probably have it to right now, like at
yes.
23.
Oh my god, actually, that's so true.
What do you mean 15?
That's so true. Yeah, 15, it wouldn't even cross my mind to even
Right.
try
Like
if
I
I
think
really.
how her mom acted. I mean, it sort of might be actually how her parents act as well. Kind of like like depending on like maybe not as extreme, but I just found it like very like oh wow, that's totally something I would see like
Hmm.
someone saying or like it doesn't seem that like offhand
Far
to me
off.
like far,
Yeah,
yeah, exactly, far off
Hmm.
like what could actually
totally.
Yeah.
happen. So it was like very
Yeah.
relatable in that sense as compared to
Hmm.
like I guess
Yeah.
maybe other shows where it's like the girl brings like a boy home and the parents kind of react a little bit differently. So
Hmm.
yeah, so it really just gave that more realistic aspect for me at least based on like experience and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, I was just gonna say, like, in those, like, cheesy rom-coms, you'll always see that the parent, like, normally accepts, like, the girl's
Hmm.
boyfriend or whatever pretty quickly. If not, they dislike them and then they start forming a bond relatively fast as well. So it was nice
Yeah,
to see that right off the bat, the mom didn't even give him a chance
No.
because I was like, oh, that resonates with so many people.
exactly. This is
So,
like what happens actually a lot, right? So it's great that we get
hmm
to see it here and
Hmm.
in. Yeah.
hmm
Yeah, but I
sorry to
think she was
interrupt.
definitely, no, it's okay. I was just saying she was definitely protective over her daughter. And I think that's like what you can see in a lot of cultures as well, like not just Asian cultures, in a lot of cultures where
Yeah.
people are like really, really protective over their daughter. So, like, no boys, no drinking, no
Hmm
this, no that. You got to be home from school, you got to do this. And I think that was definitely, you could see that in here. Just the way that she
Yeah.
was really, really strict on her, like really strict, like to
Yeah.
the point where it was like, but I guess underneath it's like, oh, it's a form of protection, but
Yeah.
that does not translate at all. But yeah,
Yeah, I think
that's what I
as
felt.
I got older, because I feel like I was like that too. Like I didn't really
Hmm.
understand why my parents like coddled me and like kept me in so much. But then as I got older,
Exactly.
it's just because they're concerned and they don't know what it's like. And I think that that idea of like coming as like an immigrant family, they're in a new place, so they don't really understand what this environment is like. So they just want to keep their children safe. So
Yeah,
it's something you understand over time, I think, that
exactly. Yeah.
concern and where that concern stems from. So
Mhm.
seeing Davy kind of like rebel against her mom was like, oh wow, girl, you'll learn. You'll get it
I know, like been
soon.
there, done that. Like you're
Yeah,
gonna get
I
to
Yeah,
learn.
know.
actually. Damn. So it's
Yeah.
good to see like sort of maybe our like own experiencing and what we know and the reflected in the
Hmm.
show. And it's on Netflix and everything,
Hmm
and a lot of people can watch it as well. So that's
hmm
great. I think it was a good
Exactly.
blend between like just like high school, like a typical high school show where she's like trying to shake her image, and then and compared
Hmm.
to like everything else that's going on with like in terms of like I think her cultural identity and also like everything else that she's going through like with mental health and everything.
hmm
Yeah.
Hmm. But I mean, I guess on the top of culture identity, my favorite, guys, my favorite little tidbit of the cultural thing
Oh
was where
yes,
her mom makes her
yes.
take a box of sweets every time she goes to somebody's house, and
Oh
people
my
just don't
god!
understand. But
I
I'm
was
like,
like,
yeah, like
yes,
you got it. Like, that's the way you have to.
yeah, yeah.
I'm like, that's like that was the best part for me.
Oh my god. So yeah, you're not gonna go to someone's house without taking this box of sweets,
Exactly,
and
and you
it's
just
like,
have like a
You can
drawer
never go out
full.
of the house empty-handed.
mm,
That's the
yeah,
thing. Like you have to go to somebody's house, you have to give them something, and people are just
Mhm.
like, "Why'd you bring this? Like, what is this?" I'm all the white people.
I know.
That was
Be grateful.
hilarious.
be
It was
grateful you
great.
got candy. Like, I eat it. But
They literally have a
that was
whole
my
like she
favorite.
opens it so many of them stacked up, so she's ready every time. It's amazing. I guess another thing for cultural identity is how she was born in America, right, and raised there, and then compared to like what she has to like when she had to go to the event at the high school with her
Hmm.
family. How I just like that episode. Like it was pretty relatable. How like she just didn't really want to be there,
Hmm.
and yeah, so of everything about that as well. And they even mentioned like in one of the first few episodes that she was like really into like the American life with like she liked the American lifestyle and everything. And also at the
Hmm.
end when she was really opposed to going back to India, I guess where she found that she wouldn't be able to fit in there anymore. So yeah, that's what
Yeah,
I really like that
it
the
was
show went through as well.
interesting that from the very beginning they established that contrast between her and like her parents, that
Yeah.
she's American. Like, oh, I still remember that opening scene where
The
they
barbecue.
Yes,
yes,
yes, the
Yeah.
yes,
barbecue.
girl,
Yeah.
you know. The barbecue where she was like straight up eating ribs and her parents were
Yeah.
like, "Oh, we're vegetarian."
Yeah, like what are you doing? But they like
Yeah.
never like I guess took her away from that. They like let her
Yes.
live
Yeah,
that
exactly.
Mhm.
lifestyle. They went at the high school. So do you know when I guess I don't know, maybe it's one of her friends, older friends who was in college or university where she met up with him at the event.
Mhm.
And then
Yes.
she's like, "Oh, I'm so over all this like, like this event and like this Indian culture." And then he was like, "No, it's great because like when you're in, college or university or wherever he was, it was like when you were seeing they called them the native people in the States, they were like so into their culture, they're so representative of the culture that kind of like made him be proud of his culture too. And then you could see the contrast, like Davey was like, no, like I'm not doing that. And he was like, oh, I'm kind of proud of like my Indian culture, even though I was like how you were at one point.
Yeah.
That was interesting to see, right?
Yeah, I think that resonates with like a lot of people because I actually before I even watched the episode, I actually saw on Twitter like someone tweeted that and they put the screenshots with like the caption of like that moment, and they were saying
Mm-hmm.
like how it really like resonated with them as well. So I think that's something that's like really relatable
Right.
as well.
And
Yeah.
I guess that was like the growing up when you get a little older, you get
Mhm.
a little more understanding of everything. I don't know. That's how I
Yeah.
feel about it.
I
Yeah.
never really felt like I wanted to be more one culture versus like Canadian
Mm-hmm.
or like Filipino versus Canadian. I always just felt like I'm in this weird space where I feel like I don't know enough about one culture versus the other to say that I'm truly Filipino or that I'm truly Canadian. So it always just
Yeah.
felt right to say that I'm Filipino Canadian or Canadian
Yeah.
Filipino because I never felt like I was informed enough to really say I was one rather than the other. So it's interesting to see Devi like in her disinterest, I guess,
Yeah.
in her Indian culture, while I was kind of I'm kind of like on the fence. Like I want to learn more, but I feel
Mm-hmm.
like I would be kind of in this awkward space where I wouldn't be completely accepted because I know that I'm still Canadian. Do you guys get me? Does that
Yeah,
make
Yeah.
I
sense?
understand that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it goes along with like that moment when she was saying like some would think that she's like too Indian and some think that she's not Indian enough kind of thing. And I think it
Mhm.
perfectly like, shows
Mhm.
that like middle ground. I was like, oh my god, that's like same for me, especially because for me with like in sort of like majority of my family they all speak like Cantonese or something, and I'm not the best at like that language, so it's almost like I
Yes.
can't really fit in there. But then also like with the Canadian culture, it's like I don't I guess look like the stereotypical Canadian. So at the same time, it's like definitely in the middle of that and trying to like okay I
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
both like enjoy the food of this culture. I like being Canadian and because we're born and raised here, so it's sort of like that middle one. Especially if I go to those events, it's like I can't really fit in because I don't really speak the language as well. So I
Yeah.
just kind of feel like an outsider
Yeah.
like either way. So
There's that
yeah,
barrier that you
yeah,
feel.
exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I thought that like when she said that, I was like, oh wow, yeah, yes, I'm so glad that it's like being incorporated in the show as well.
Mhm.
Yeah. Mhm.
But I mean, like in terms of how she was acting with her parents as well, like it was interesting for me to see that the mom was more strict than the dad, to be very honest with you, because usually it's like the dad's that's more
Yes.
strict. But I really like the relationship she had with her dad. It was so cute.
Yeah.
Uh, and it was so sad, like when he passed
Yeah, it made
away,
it
and
more
like,
heartbreaking.
oh my God, it's so heartbreaking. And like it made I guess the hate between the mom and Devi stronger in a way because like she really did not like her mom that much. Like her dad was like her favorite. And
Mhm.
when she was showing the flashbacks, like the
Oh
day
my
the
god, that was
accident
one of my
happened,
favorite episodes.
oh my
I think
God.
it's
Like I
the
think it was like in the final episodes, right?
it was like second last, I
Yeah.
think season
Mhm.
one,
Yeah,
episode
yeah,
nine,
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
and everything blew up. That's like when I think it was so also so satisfying because like everything that we seen like that we talked about like in her therapy sessions, like when she was dying, I think everything just bottled up and like kind of like, and this is
Hmm.
like the real thing that she was like keeping it inside this whole time ever since like
Yeah.
yeah, and those flashbacks, I think
Yeah.
she did an amazing job like the actress like when she suddenly had like when her mom said something to her and she suddenly had like in her eyes it was like she just had a flashback of like remembering like
Yeah.
those other arguments and yeah
I
I
guess
really
like the pain ran deep for her. And then, again, it was like it was being bottled up before her dad's heart attack happened or before she lost the
yeah
feelings in her legs, right? It
yeah
was way before that because I guess her mom, the relationship with her mom was, they didn't show this, but I'm assuming it's always been a little rocky and that her dad
Mhm.
was like the one where she found comfort in.
yeah
Yeah.
Was, if that makes sense.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Exactly.
Okay, guys, so that wraps up our very, very first episode. We really hope you guys enjoy it. Make sure you guys check us out on all of our social media channels, which we'll link with the description of this podcast. If you have any ideas, any questions, make sure to reach out to us. And until then, we'll catch you next time.